These are all done. You take care of it?
We just got to get it on Denise's desk. Marty's, the thing Marty's got, we got to get on our desk too. So.
Okay. You good there, Marty?
I'm done.
Okay. Everybody's got to see the bills? Oh, excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
I'm sorry?
Yes,
I need that.
well. It's 7 o'clock. Let's go ahead and start the meeting. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Trustee Fairchild, would you call the roll, please?
President Fox.
Present.
Trustee McBride.
Present.
Trustee Ramotka.
Present.
Trustee Ritterbush.
Present.
All present and accounted for.
Thank you, sir. And next we'll have the review and approval of the minutes for May the 17th, 2021. This is the regular meeting of the Rochester Fire Protection District, June the 9th, 2021.
Yeah, here. I got a typo in the second to the last page. In the first paragraph, the second sentence from the bottom, it should say south of the firehouse. It just says south F the firehouse.
Second to the last page. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all. Otherwise it's clear.
We'll get that taken care of, Randy. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Marty, I think would be okay with just a pencil in on that, since that's really not altering the,
As long as it's the one that goes to Denise, it will be all right.
If that suits everybody.
yeah, as long as Denise knows that and she'll.
All right.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as corrected.
Second that.
Okay. Motion is made, I'm Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next item of business is the treasurer's report. Treasurer McBride.
Our balance sheet as of today, June 9th, our total assets are $3,530,228.40. Total liabilities and equity, $3,530,228.40. Receipts and expenses, May 18th through June 9th. Our total income is $154,632.53. Total expenses, $12,869.98, and to the good for $141,762.55. Receipts and expenses from the beginning of the fiscal year, June 1 until today. Total income, $154,597.44. Our total expenses, $9,993.17, which is a good $144,604.27.
Are there any questions amongst the board? Trustee Ramaka?
No, sir.
Okay. Trustee Fairchild?
All good here.
Trustee Rubush? I have no questions. Open for a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Motion made by Trustee Madka and seconded by Ritterbush.
All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next item on the agenda is the chief's report. Chief Archer.
Chief report for June 9th, 2021. May 17th, the district hosted a mutual aid EMS training event at the Monroe Medical Center, Learning Center, for OBGYN emergencies and stimulation lab. May 20th, a new engine arrived back at the district for finalizing training, equipment placement, and driver training before being placed in service. May 24th, the district assisted IDOT and ISP with creating a newly revised traffic incident management program that will be used statewide for both their troopers as well as first responders at the driving range in Pawnee. June 2 through 5, myself and firefighter paramedic Christy Gilly attended the 97th annual IFSI Fire College in Champaign to enhance training knowledge. June 7th, the district through Mavis Division 48 was requested to provide manpower for a large-scale hazmat incident in Roxana. Myself and firefighter EMT Chance Torsha assisted manning an engine crew for a 12-hour period overnight. Also that same day, June 7th evening, the district was graciously allowed to utilize the ISP training range at Pawnee again for driving skills for our members. Various apparatus members are to train to operate engine and improving driving skills. May calls 34 EMS, 12 fire for a total of 46, 4 training sessions, and 3 special duties.
Any questions from the board members? Trustee Ramatka? Fairchild?
I'm good.
And Ritterbush. Okay, excellent job. Little trip down south, though.
Yes, sir.
I understand that.
With a group of 19 people from Mavis Division 48, we went down to support a large-scale hazmat incident at the refinery in Roxana area.
I understand that there wasn't, that the injuries that were sustained there were minor in and out of the hospital.
2 factory employees, yeah.
Okay, excellent. That's good. Okay, motion to accept the chief's report.
I'll make a motion.
A motion made by Trustee
Make a
Pride, Seconded by trustee Ritter.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, under old business, the purchasing policy.
Okay, I've emailed you guys and also passed out tonight, in case you didn't bring it with you, the revised purchasing policy. I had omitted a paragraph somehow, I don't know if I deleted it or what, which is on the second page and is highlighted in gray. And after talking to the lawyer, we dropped the from 3,000 to 2,000 for purchases without prior approval. And number two, extended that 2,000 instead of 3 for emergency expenditures. Fire chief is authorized to purchase up to $2,000. Emergency purchase or expenditure in excess of $10,000 requires a special board meeting or emergency board meeting. Any purchases over 500 will require multiple prices. We're not talking bids, it's not going up for bids, it's going to be multiple prices. And then, of course, anything over 20,000, we have to follow the state statute to purchase. And we have a paragraph at the bottom that allows us to enter into joint purchasing. We can also enter into contracts for supplies, materials, or work in excess of $20,000 through purchasing. Participation in a joint governmental or non-governmental purchasing program that requires as part of its selection procedure a competitive solicitation and procurement process. So I'd like to have some discussion if anybody has any ideas.
Chief, you open that up to you to start.
Gary and I chatted about it, I'm pretty comfortable with it. I mean, there's no restrictions in there. The only thing I would say on the $2,000 limit is a lot of things today's day and age with equipment prices, and 2,000 is kind of is on the lower end, I guess. But I don't know whether they would consider a 2,500 or 3,000, but that's just some input.
So you're more favorable with something around 25,
Yeah,
25 to 3?
Compromise 2,500 or 3,000 just to make it, because a lot of things, a single set of turnout gear anymore is somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,000 or more, so.
Trustee Ramatka, do you have any questions or concerns?
I might note in number 5 at the very end, it says quotes should be provided to the board. And I don't know, John, exactly how we do that, if we staple those quotes to the invoice, so it's with it all the time. If we have to find it, we don't have to go two places.
They could be.
Okay. Can we arrange to do that?
Yeah.
Just so if we need to find it, it's readily accessible. Yeah, I'm not against going to 3,000 if we need to. 2,500 might be a little better. But
I'm not going to make you last this time. Do you have any questions or concerns?
You said something about a bid versus a...
Right, a bid is a formal process that we have to go through. It's set up by state statute. It's got to be published, and it's a process.
Okay.
Anything over 20,000 has to go through that.
Trustee Fairchild, did you have any questions or concerns?
No, not really. I think item 3, let's leave it at 2,000 and see how it works out. If it becomes problematic, we can always make an adjustment in the future.
So that would be 2,000.
The way it's been
Well,
presented.
number one's got 2,000, number two's got 2,000. They're kind of,
And that's why I specified number 3.
yeah, they're kind of, well, but they're kind of equal.
Yeah, at least the same.
Just,
We can always, this isn't etched in stone.
okay,
If it becomes problematic, we can make adjustments in the future.
okay, so are we okay the way this sits right now? Okay with you? Okay, I'd like to make a motion, we accept or adopt the purchasing policy.
Okay, let's outline the changes again. You said the change of 2,500 to 3 is in section 1, I'm sorry,
Are we changing
We're
it?
not
or
changing it.
we're not going to change that?
We're going to leave it at 2,000.
I was under
Okay,
the impression
okay.
we're just gonna leave it as is.
Okay, all right,
We kind of-
all right. Well, when he said that, number 2,
Yeah.
that they were the same. Okay, so we're going to leave in number 1 to, and 3 is 2,000, is that correct?
Yeah.
So pretty much as
It's as is.
as it reads, we're in favor of the whole thing. Okay?
I mean, it's,
We have a motion on.
Okay, and let's poll the board.
do we have a second or not?
I'll
We need a
second.
Okay.
John, you second?
Yeah, I'll second it. And if you would, Marty, poll the board.
Yes, sir. Trustee Gramatka,
Yes.
trustee McBride,
Yes.
President Fox,
Yes.
trustee Ritterbush.
Yes.
And I will vote in the affirmative also.
Okay. Motion passed.
You can do that a little softer, okay?
Okay, the next item, sorry for the excitement there. The next item on the agenda is under new business, approval and authorization of purchases. All members of the board have had an opportunity to review those. And so are we ready for a motion?
I make a motion that we approve and authorize the purchase of our bills for the month.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, and it's seconded by trustee Ritterbush. Marty, you're up.
All in favor?
Aye.
We got to have a roll call since we're spending money.
We get ready to spend money, aren't we? Roll call, all right, trustee Gramatka,
Yes.
trustee McBride,
Yes.
President Fox,
Yes.
trustee Ritterbush.
Yes.
And I'll vote in the affirmative. All in favor, motion passes. Pay the bills.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the public comment policy. Okay, any questions and concerns? Trustee Ramadka?
None.
Trustee McBride? Trustee Ritterbush?
I do.
Okay,
I don't understand why you can't have dialogue with people when they ask a question. If they care enough to come to the meeting, it's like Mr. Childs when he asked about concrete. I mean, why can't you talk to them about it? Or why can't there be banter back and forth with people? If they take the time out of their day to come here, isn't it best just to address it and be done with it instead of, I can tell you from sitting out there for 8 years and being cut off multiple times, and it's basically like, I want your tax money, but I don't want to hear what you have to say, is my feeling on it. So it's kind of like, I think if the public cares enough to come, that we should care enough to listen and have dialogue with them. You can limit it or do whatever, but I think there should be dialogue.
Okay. Trustee Fairchild?
I agree with trustee Rearbush on number 5. And also in regards to number 6, somebody's opinion of what's defamatory, disparaging, or invasion of privacy, I think we all can pretty much agree on that. But, we've got, who makes the determination what's defamatory or disparaging? I mean, back in October, I got took pillar to post by not only, the better part of the members of the department, simply because I took an unpopular position. And nobody stood up for me. I'm a sitting board member.
I agree.
So I think we better tread, and as far as ordering somebody to leave the meeting, public meeting, and there's some First Amendment rights issues that could be brought up on that, so.
Yeah, but they also have to behave themselves too, you can't.
Oh, I'm not saying that we sit back and let somebody have a riot in here. But I think we need to tread carefully with number 6.
Maybe we need to amend that. I could see a short discussion, but it needs to be short so we can get on with stuff, okay?
Oh,
Yeah, this isn't a
on
debate
that part,
class.
yeah.
This is not a debate class, but at the same time, if somebody wants to take us to the woodshed, they pretty much got the right to do it. Now, they start calling names and things like that, yeah, but you gotta let people occasionally vent their spleen.
I guess I would agree for someone, as you said, to state their concerns and in a limited amount of time attempt to resolve the question, and if it could not be resolved within that time period, then we place it on the agenda, we meet on that matter.
That seems reasonable.
We meet on that matter, and they can come in and further discuss it, and at that time, they want to paint the firehouse green, and we don't want them to paint well, they can bring in their support as to why the firehouse should be green. So, I don't know, I'm not opposed to putting a time limit. I think we need, because you know how those things can drag out, I think we need to put a time limit and say that if we can resolve it, make them, I don't want to say make them happy,
No, I'd say
but resolve their question.
Yeah, number
within
2 pretty well covers that. If somebody has a genuine concern and 3 minutes isn't sufficient time for them to get their concerns across, we have the ability to.
That was going to be my next question. So what we should tack 3 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes of discussion time. Is that?
Or if you
Well, they
take
have
it
3 minutes to
more,
make their
a little bit
comments.
more, I mean, I don't know how you can do that.
Well,
Right,
this is
agree.
we have to draw a
But I
line.
think you'd use a
Oh, well,
timer.
yeah, I don't want to sit here
Yes,
for an hour
yeah,
and a half
you-
let one person talk.
yeah, we
I
have
think
to-
there's-
No, but
No,
There's a
we
reasonable-
would set a time.
I think we can all come to a reasonable conclusion on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, in all fairness, that person, when they begin to speak, it should be timed, and we should say, I'm very sorry, but time's up.
And there's also going to be times that we want to hear what they have to say, so we'll extend it.
That's what I was asking.
I would not be opposed to that either, you know, if we feel that another 3 minutes could resolve it. I don't know.
That's it. Why don't we get number 5 changed to come up with some kind of a short dialogue, maybe, if needed. Maybe table it till next month.
Yep. Is there any other discussion? All right, so we will table this and readdress it with adding dialogue period of maybe about 3 minutes with the board's option to extend that, what, another 3 minutes? Or we're going to need to put a,
Yeah, 3 minutes, 3 minutes at a time seems reasonable.
But I mean, at what point, we can go 3 minutes.
Well, 6 minutes, then if they can wrap it up in another minute or so after
Well,
that.
you could also just go by if it's being productive. Let it go if it's not being productive.
God, that really is.
Now, just remember, this is the opportunity once a month for the public to come in here and have dialogue and give us their opinion, and if they have questions, as the public member did about the concrete, you know, we kind of owe them a little bit of an explanation occasionally of what we're doing with all their money. And I think we need to keep that foremost in our mind.
The only thing, Marty, I'm not disagreeing with you, is on number 4, we're allowing 15 minutes for the period. John Q. Public steps up and uses that 3 minutes, and then it's productive, and we go another 3 minutes,
Then, you
and we
know,
go another. So then does that mean that now, if he uses 12 minutes,
then you know, That's
do
kind of-
we, if anybody else out there has something to say, do we say, well, we're sorry, we've expended the time period for public comment, so you gotta come back next week and,
next month.
or next month, and make your comment.
Well, you know, like I said, this is the time for the public. They're afforded an opportunity once a month to come up here, and
Are these,
if they, and I tell you what, I've been on this board for 8 years, and I don't think we've ever gone more than 10 or 15 minutes very often when we've had a discussion with people.
Why don't we come up with something? We can put times
Yeah,
down
let's
or whatever
give
and
it-
see how it goes.
Yeah, let's give a thought. Right now, I'll be honest with you, I'm interested in expanding that a little further than 15 minutes. Or keeping the 15 minutes and saying, you know, if we expend 10 minutes on this individual, then it's still,
aren't they just kind of like guidelines? It's not like black and white, isn't it? Like
it's
they
got,
need-
it's got,
they need a little bit more
well,
time.
it's got to be, no, it's not a suggestion, it's what we have to follow, yeah. So, but everybody has their due process, so, yeah, I'll go first. Yeah. So, okay, so we'll table this, let's give it some more thought, and I think there's some pretty amicable suggestions out there as to some fairness, and how we should go any further with that. Are there any other questions or concerns? Everybody's in agreement on that? The next item is the bank,
Okay,
Treasurer McBride, you want
we got some forms here from the bank to sign. Even though everybody's been down and signed some already, we got one. So we'll just pass them down. You can sign your name by where your name is printed
What are they for?
for signatures for the bank. It tells who can do what. So.
So it's different than what we signed.
Yeah, this is different than what you saw today.
to? Same thing, only different. Thanks. No, you didn't at the side of your house.
Well, no, they can have my house.
Pass her back down when you're done.
And you're still up there.
Okay. We have a file/record access policy. I don't know, does everybody have that in front of them? This is meant to make sure that all the trustees can get access to all records, and at the same time, keep the records of the Rochester Fire Protection District organized and secure. No original files, records/files can ever leave the fire station. So what we do, if a trustee desires to see a record, they should email the administrative assistant describing what he or she wants to see. And I believe, John, is there also a form up by Denise's door for that?
That's a request for something, if you need paperwork and other copies made.
For everything, okay, so you
Any
can,
other request.
so you could do that on that form?
Yeah, you could.
Okay. Okay, after that, the administrative assistant will locate the records needed, make copies, and put them in the trustee's mailbox. The trustee will then be notified that the files are ready. This one here can be kind of a, we're going to have to play it to the president. If the trustee wants to listen to recordings or read minutes from a closed session that has not been released to the public, they should notify the president of the board, and he will make the necessary arrangements. These minutes or recordings cannot leave the firehouse. They are to be confidential. And any situation that's not addressed above will be handled on a case-by-case basis. And I made this policy to be temporary. I didn't have a chance to talk to the attorney about it, so we're probably going to come up with something a little bit more elaborate. Anybody have any input?
Trustee Remarka?
No, sir.
Trustee Fairchild?
Not at this time.
Trustee Ritterbush?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this file/record access policy on a temporary basis. Hopefully next month we can come up with something more elaborate.
Can we just table it till next month?
Pardon me?
Can we just table it till next month? If it's gonna be changed?
Well, I thought if somebody wants something in the meantime, you know, we can access it.
Do you want to let the attorney take a run at this before we do anything with it, or you just want to go ahead and do it tonight and then have him take a run at it?
I think I gave him the basic idea of the
He's
email.
got it. He's got this.
No, he doesn't have this. I sent him an email thinking that a trustee could contact Denise, say, this is what I want, she will access it and put it in his box, or her box.
I think this pretty much opens up, obviously, any trustee that wants to do something is able to do that. It's just a matter of how to get, how to obtain the file and maintain the integrity of the file. So in other words, that the file is obviously is not removed from the firehouse, but the trustee has the ability to review it.
Right.
And to include the recordings, and obviously anything that has not been released, to include minutes of closed session or those recordings are, obviously not.
Right.
So, I'm kind of lost at whether or not, I'm kind of with Karen as to, I think we should have something. I'm going to back off. I think we should have something tentatively.
Right, if
And
you want to
then,
access something tomorrow, you can do it.
Yeah. If for nothing else, to ensure that, if there's any question. Is there any other further discussion on it?
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Who made the motion?
Gary.
You did, okay. Okay, motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
You think we ought to throw in the all opposed in there, Marty, just in case
Sure.
there is one?
All opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes.
Yep. Nick, you're up, buddy.
All right,
Okay, the next item is on a technology report by firefighter Nick Trader.
so as some of you may know, I am Nick Trader. I'm the Technology and Communications Administrator for Rochester Fire Protection District. I just wanted to give you a report so far from the time that I've taken my position until now of some of the stuff that we've done and some of the expenditures that I think that we're going to need going into our next fiscal year. So, and they're not set in stone, it's just some of the things that I think that we need to think about. So, so far, acceptable use policies for all technology have been signed for all members for 2021. They're valid through January 2022. These must be signed annually. All of you guys have received one in your board packet. If you wouldn't mind signing that or returning that to me, it just covers all of us so that if you do have a piece of our technology here, it protects us legally. Full technology inventory has been completed for the firehouse. This inventory includes all district computer equipment, pagers, department radios, and apparatus equipment. With that being said, we do have two outstanding radios and pagers from inactive members. Upgrade of several new computers around the firehouse, including one for our administrative assistant and one for our training coordinator. Dash camera for new engine 1 has been installed and is currently in service. Installation of new security cameras is also in progress. Cable has been ran for all 4 cameras, and there are 2 cameras left to install. Website renovations are underway, and the revamp of the website is coming along nicely. With that being said, you won't see any changes to the actual website itself, because I'm working on another program on the back side. And then whenever I'm ready to launch the new website, I'll get with you guys to make sure that everything's good, and then we'll do a relaunch of our complete website. Backup camera for Squad 1 has been purchased for increased safety while backing up and seeing blind spots on the vehicle, and is currently awaiting installation. As for the foreseen expenditures that I think that we'll need, The purchase of 4 new desktop computers to replace old and outdated equipment that no longer suits the needs of the district. Battery backups for a modem and router, Windows server, and several computers to prevent service interruptions in internet and IP address handling. And lastly, the purchase of the new MDC for which is like where we receive all of our tickets from dispatch. The last piece on my sheet is you all also received a piece of paper in your packet with an email address and a temporary password for a Rochester Fire email address. If you would like to use that, you are most certainly welcome to it since you all are appointed board members now. I do highly suggest it, keeping fire business, and personal business, so you guys do what you wish with that. If you have any questions, please let me know.
What's the tentative launch date for the website?
There is not an expected date yet. I'm currently working on it, but I'm having to do a lot of revamp to it because it was highly out of date, so I don't currently have a launch date yet. I will let you guys know whenever it gets close to it.
Can you give us just kind of a month, 2 months?
Let's say by August.
Okay. If not, we can readdress it at that time. Trustee Ramadka, you have any questions? Nope. McBride? Fairchild?
I'm good.
Bush? Okay, okay, no, yeah, well, this is just informative. Okay, the FOIA statement. Okay. Okay, in front of you is the Freedom of Information Act Statement Document Listing Policy. Please review.
So as I see it, this just kind of states the facts about the fire department, what we do, I guess what's available to be for you, is that right?
Okay, and this is dictated as per 5 ILL 140 edition. The act itself.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the Freedom of Information Act Statement, Document Listing and Policy.
I'll second it.
Okay, first of all, let's give a round of discussion. Trustee Ramadka, do you have any questions or concerns? No, sir. Okay, and McBride, you don't. Trustee Fairchild?
Appears to be all in order.
Okay, and so a motion made by Trustee McBride and seconded by Ritterbush. Marty?
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes.
Next item is the FOIA OMA officer appointment. We currently have a FOIA officer and OMA officer who's been receiving training, and that's our executive assistant, or administrative assistant, thank you. She'd like me to say the executive. Yeah, our administrative assistant. I'm going to open up with a comment on that and then open it up to others, obviously, also. She's been doing this for some time. Has the training. She has access to all the materials, all of the files and so forth. She has established a rapport and contact with the attorneys. Up until this point, I think she's done a tremendous job in it. She can, since she is a paid employee and she is here part-time, she can come in and address these things, whereas any other member of the board, I don't think, has the time or opportunity to address it, since that is under a time restraint. So that's my feeling on that.
I agree, I think she's done a good job.
Trustee Ramadka, do you have any questions or concerns?
No, no, sir.
Trustee Ritterbusch?
I think if she's been doing it, she should continue to do it.
Okay, Trustee Fairchild?
No change asked for, no change necessary.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, so for the appointment, this is of Denise, or to continue as the FOIA and OMA officer. Do I have any motions?
I'll make a motion that we have Denise continue to be our FOIA/OMA officer.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Marty?
I have a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded to keep Denise on as the FOIA OMA officer. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes.
Okay. Okay, Marty, you're up. The next item on the agenda is payoff of the truck loan. You wanted to bring it up on the agenda?
Well, brought it up last month, and I think since we've got a budget coming up, we can go ahead and pay it off.
I'll say that I agreed with you initially. I think though that since we've got I think it's $68,000 that we're not paying any interest on, I think we kind of owe it to the taxpayers to have it sitting there in case we need it.
Well, I see where you're coming from, Gary. It's good to have reserves, but I don't have your financial statement in front of me. But
You know,
we are
we
sitting
can do
in,
it.
basically, we're sitting in Fat City. Now, never been one and never will be one to go around frivolously spending the taxpayers' money unnecessarily. But in a conversation I had some 8 years ago with Trustee Cravens, who at the time was the treasurer, he was the one that informed me. We had a lengthy discussion about this situation. And that's when he informed me that this money would go back to the fund that would go to other departments that are currently seeking, not as a financial condition as we are, to purchase fire apparatus, used or new. And it seems to me like, I know we're paying somewhere, I believe the payment's about $12,000 a year.
I was thinking 22,
Is it 22?
but
So if you don't think the district should pay off the entire amount, I would be willing to make a suggestion that we double the payment.
I could go for that.
Trustee Cravens and I had a discussion about, with the rest of the board, about when we were still paying off the building, the mortgage on the building. And at that time, we were in a pretty good financial position, and I suggested that we double the principal payment. He didn't want to do that, but he said, why don't we go ahead and do 1.5 payments? So we did. And we saved the taxpayers some interest money,
Sure.
and we paid off the building a little quicker. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on this.
Trustee Ramaka, do you have any input?
I don't have any, no, sir.
I don't know, I'm kind of torn. I know where you're standing there, Marty, in painting it off. I know that what the fire marshal's office, of course, they do their budgets every year, and with their different programs and so forth, and address that accordingly. $68,000. My fear is, man, and I don't want to jinx things out here, but God forbid if we had a situation where we could really use that money, or additional equipment that I know that it's been said, Chief, and correct me if you're wrong, that there's some brush equipment that you guys, possibly an ATV or item of that sort. I know we had access to the Mavis side-by-side, was it a side-by-side, or help me out there?
Yes.
And it's not always available to us. And it seems like every time we want to use it with the Lost Bridge Trail and so forth, it's either out of service. Quote me if I'm wrong there.
Or it just takes too long to get here.
Yeah. So, I don't know that I would be in a hurry to take that money, and I would rather, since it's actually free money to us, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
See, that's free money to us, and maybe that's not the right exact term for it, but I mean, it's something that we're not having to spend a lot of.
There's no interest.
No interest on it, so that's why I call it free money.
Well, I just want the board to keep in mind the fact, right now, we're sitting on $913,000 sitting in the bank. And very shortly, I just paid my property taxes, and I'm sure everybody else is paying theirs too. And in a very short period of time, the district's gonna come into somewhere around $650,000 of property tax money rolling in the door. So, just might wanna keep that in mind, that we're not exactly in the poorhouse
I
here.
don't think we're gonna be hurting, but, if we double it, that's, we still have most of it left there that we can use.
I'd be good with that.
I don't know why we just can't pay it so some other department that's not as fortunate as
Well,
we
that's
are
not,
could
that's
have.
not, that would be nice if that was a guarantee, but that's not a guarantee.
Well, but if the money's not available and we're holding on to it, then it's not gonna be put out there for, some smaller community that may need it more than we do.
Well, that's how Trustee Cravens described the fire truck revolving loan to me, and I took him at his word.
Well, it would be a year before it got back out there, but still, it would be.
Well, the farmer in me just doesn't like that. And we put ourselves in a pretty good financial position by paying off the building a little quicker. And I'd be good with
That's what,
increasing the payment.
Doubling it.
Yeah.
make a motion?
I so move that we double the fire truck revolving loan payment,
To what, double?
double what it is now.
I'll second that. Go ahead and poll the board if you would, or any other discussion before?
But the only thing, we need to make sure that Denise knows that we're doing this, so she will, because she's the one that writes the check.
Right.
So we just need to make sure that we're.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, the motion on the floor is to increase the payment for the tanker 2 times, made by Trustee Fairchild and seconded by Fox. Can we poll the board, Marty?
Trustee Ramadka,
Yes.
trustee McBride,
Yes.
President Fox,
Yes.
trustee Ritterbush.
Yes.
And I am also in favor, so all in favor. Motion passes.
We're gonna take that away from you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is member or public comment. Okay, if you would state your name, please, sir.
Concerned citizen, since you're doubling the payment on the fire truck, when will it be paid off?
I'm sorry, would you give your name so that when they do the minutes that they know who it is, please?
You know who I am, John. What does it matter?
Okay.
I just asked a question, that's all.
We don't know for sure. We don't have the figures in front of us.
All right, that's all I needed.
Sir, in the back row?
My name's Perry Walter, and is what you just did doubling the payment on a no-interest loan?
Yes, sir.
Do you have loans out that charge interest?
No.
I don't,
No.
not to our knowledge, sir.
So you have no other loans that you make regular payments to? Not on the building, other trucks, or anything?
The building is paid for, to the best of my knowledge, sir. The truck, no, sir. To the best of my knowledge, we have no other loans outstanding.
Okay. Well, some people seem to think that what you have is an abundance and an excess. With what modern equipment costs these days, that's simply not the case. That can evaporate faster than you can think about it. And while you think you were told 8 years ago that the money would go back into a fund for someone else to access, I can nearly guarantee you that anything you were told about how any of the government's operations are 8 years ago are not the same today. And it is not your responsibilities to worry about other fire departments and other fire districts. Your responsibility lies here. And to just decide in one meeting, no less, not put it out to the public so that they would have advance notice of what you're going to do and be able to come in and share their opinion on it. But you simply start the meeting, you bring it up, you pass it, and that's it. That's not responsible. And that's not representing the people in this district. I don't see why you are so bent on doing everything you can to deplete the fund. If you were paying interest on it, then maybe it would be a responsible thing to do. But you're basing this on 8-year-old information, so that tells me you didn't even bother to call anybody that administers this program to find out if that is in fact what's going to happen. Will that money become available to somebody else? Because quite frankly, they're not paying the school districts what they owe. They're not paying anybody what they owe, and certainly not in a timely fashion. So I have extremely serious doubts that even the payments you're making are going back into a program to help other departments buy equipment. To me, it was a fool's errand to even bring it up without knowing for a fact what's going to happen. So in the future, I would expect a bit more responsibility than to just say, oh, well, 8 years ago, 8 days ago, things are not the same as they are today. So your due diligence would have been to look into this and know for a fact that's absolutely ridiculous what you've just done.
Well said, sir. Thank you for your opinion.
Yes, sir.
I want to speak to the trustee access to the file access policy, the part about the closed session minutes and recordings.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to read something, and it applies to both the recordings and the minutes of closed sessions. And I'm reading word for word. Access to verbatim recordings shall be provided to duly elected officials or appointed officials filling a vacancy of an elected office in a public body, and access shall be granted in the public body's main office or official storage location in the presence of a records secretary, an administrative official of the public body, or any elected official of the public body. It doesn't say you have to get permission from the chairman of the board, or even ask or tell the chairman of the board that you want access to those recordings and minutes. That is not found in the Open Meetings Act. I read exactly word for word from the Open Meetings Act, and I would ask you to reconsider voting on that policy, get your attorney to look at it, balance it with the Open Meetings Act, table it until next month and get one that don't violate the Open Meetings Act. Second, since I don't have copies of draft policies, it would be a good idea to provide people attending a copy of a draft policy so they know what you're getting ready to pass. But you tabled it until next month, public comment policy. I heard discussions on, well, if we want to hear what they're saying, we could just extend their 3 minutes. Well, what if you don't want to hear what they're saying? Because if you extend the time limit for somebody that you want to hear what they're saying, you have to extend the time limit to the people that you don't want to hear from. That's the basics of the First Amendment. The First Amendment basically protects the right to speak language that people hate. That is what the First Amendment is there. The First Amendment isn't there to protect the language that everybody likes. It's there to protect the language that people hate. Now, I'm going by the discussions, and I believe Mr. McBride was the one that brought that portion up. If we want, we can always extend it if we want to hear from them. Well,
Yeah.
then you have to extend it if you don't want to hear from them. Demeaning, insulting, other types of language, you can't put that in there. There's multiple Attorney General opinions saying you can't do that. There's court opinions saying you can't do that. Call the city of Urbana up and ask them if they can do that. No. They lost two Attorney General opinions, and they're settling the lawsuit we have against them right now because they tried that. And I would just as soon do that without having to go to the AG or to the courts. Just, people know when people are being abusive. And because you say something about somebody that you don't like, that's not abusive. Abusive is using fight words or repeated curse words in an attempt to make people angry. 15 minutes, I agree with the chair, we need to extend to 15 minutes. 15 minutes is an insult. That's all I have, thank you.
If I can correct you, sir, your statement about the gaining permission by the president was not in there. It says to notify the president. It is not asking, just a moment, please.
Notification is gaining permission.
No, sir.
If I have to tell you I'm coming in, if I have to notify you I'm coming in your house, that implies you have to give me permission. There's nothing in the law requires notification of the chairman or anybody else except for one other elected board member.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for your,
Thanks for the
thank you for your
sketch.
comment, sir.
Well, if we have an issue with this, should we
Yeah,
repeal it?
Take a look, Thomas.
Well, we need to repeal it since we passed it, so.
And the reason I know about that part is because we worked hard getting that that bill passed into law.
Okay, we'll take it under review. Okay, I'm not going to tell you that we're going to repeal it right now. We will, since we have not had enough. We put this together in good faith in trying to update our policies and procedures and smooth things out. And so we thought we had something applicable. This is why we said that, this is temporary, and if we need to change it, we'll be glad to change it.
That's fine, as long as you want to look at it, I'm happy.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Bert Walter, I got sidetracked by that other stuff, and I did have a question I've been wanting to ask for some time. You're constantly referring, should we run this by the attorney? Should we run this by the attorney? Well, there's a lot to be said for attorneys, there's a lot to be said against them. When you do this, do you put all these things, all these questions together and submit them to, or are you submitting these one at a time? Because I'll guarantee you, we're paying through the nose if you're going one at a time. And it seems like every time you get an answer from this person, it's a CYA. He is not telling us, or she, pardon me, a damn thing. Well, probably should. No. If this is an attorney, I want an answer if we're paying for it. I want to know, are we outside the bounds or are we in the bounds? And if you can't get that, and you're not, as they say, Flo says, bundling these questions to him so we can get a reasonable answer at a reasonable cost, there's nothing that I've seen that you've ever asked him that needed to be submitted by itself, I don't think.
In answer to your question, sir, and
Thank
I
you.
don't want to engage in a question and answer, but I am going to tell you, yes, our communication with our attorney, who represents many fire districts in the state of Illinois, we try to bundle it together. But in an effort to we've learned a lot of lessons over the last couple of years, and our fees have gone up considerably because of the communication. But yes, we try to bundle it, and one of the things that we want to try to do, and we're working on, is so that each member of the board has the right to address the attorney. But we don't want the attorney to pick up the phone and say, well, just a minute, Trustee Fox is on the other line. And so we're working on a policy on that also. But yes, sir, we're trying to bundle that, and I understand what you're
Well,
saying.
and before you get the policy written, you can all just agree to cooperate. Doesn't have to have
That-
a
that would
policy
be,
for everybody to agree to
that-
cooperate.
That's at probably the top of the list of our achievements for the year, proposed achievements for the year. Are there any other questions? Yes, sir.
Kirk Allen, I want to address, and again, I don't have a draft of what you're proposing, so I'm going off of what I heard.
Mhm.
want to share with you my experiences over the last 10 years on this issue of public comment policies.
Mhm.
It never fails. Every time a board is faced with criticism or rebuke or whatever on a topic that you probably haven't ever had in front of you for 10 years, we see a difference between a proactive, move forward, fix attitude versus a defensive, shut the people down attitude. And what you've done, and I think this probably was stemmed from the last meeting, because you interrupted my public comment, Mr. Fox. You rebuked me when I spoke my free speech against a former trustee who lied to me in this room. And you interrupted me, and then you cut me off at 5 minutes and said that was your policy. Well, the importance of having a positive dialogue, and I understand the limitations, you have business to complete. You've completed your business now. Now, it's public comment at the end of the time, so we're not interrupting your ability to complete your business, but when you restrict people's time and say, well, that's our policy, I asked, is that an adopted policy? And what did we find out? Do you know? You don't have an adopted policy like you told me you did.
Yes, sir. In answer to your question, yes, we did have an adopted policy that was signed by the board members, and
You
that's
have
what
no
I,
minutes to support.
that's what I saw.
You have no minutes to support. There were no minutes reflecting or an agenda item that a public comment policy was ever adopted. Period.
Okay.
It wasn't done. I got the letter from your attorney. And I'm glad this gentleman brought this up with the attorney. And this is an important one. Most places I go to, whether it's a township, municipality, or a fire district, and I know at the Fire District Protection, or the Fire Protection District Association, they have a book. It's a guideline of all the statutes that apply to you. And I've said numerous times, before you take any action, ask the question, where in the law does it say we can do this? You just adopted a policy that directly violates the Open Meetings Act. Yet you've all, I assume, have taken your Open Meetings Act training. It's in there. It's a required training for elected officials. So why not just adopt what's in the law? That's the simple process. You don't need to go to attorneys to do it. It's not rocket science. And I say you don't need to go to attorneys to do it, and here's why. When you don't want to answer questions and have a positive dialogue to solve a problem, I'm forced to FOIA records. And instead of getting the records from your FOIA officer, I get them from your attorney. There's no need to send your FOIAs to your attorney unless it's a truly complicated matter of disclosure that you're concerned about. And guess what? Your attorney responds. You know, the law says they're required to outline who the FOIA officer is responding to the FOIA. He didn't comply with FOIA. Not at all. FOIA should be handled internally unless it's a complicated matter. We shouldn't be incurring legal bills for that. But when I got rebuked, I find out now there was no adopted policy, no agenda, and I'm glad that you're putting something together. But the 15-minute, and I asked, Mr. Fairchild, you made a comment in all your times here, what's the longest you've ever had public comment go? Because in this business, you plan for the worst and hope for the best. What's the longest you've ever had public comment? Anybody?
Not very.
I don't think it's
Quite
been more than
honestly,
maybe
not very.
15 or 20 minutes at all the times I've been here in the last year plus. Most agencies will put it at 30 minutes. Here's the problem with 15 minutes and a 3-minute limit. You're telling the public you're going to allow 5 people to speak. 5 people. That's the message that gets sent when you adopt a restrictive policy. When you don't have, and I understand there's a time when it is or isn't productive with a dialogue, but part of that dialogue prevents people from having to file FOIAs to get information. It really does. I was told by Mr. Riggs he would answer my questions. I took him at his word. Well, I found out what his word was worth. He didn't. Now, I know he's gone, but the whole concept of transparency and moving forward starts with you folks and having a positive dialogue. Most places, 5 minutes is typical. Most people don't even take 5 minutes unless it's really something, just, a major issue. But what we find is when you let them vent, let them speak, get the issue dealt with, chances are they don't even come back. Now, we're here to address a long-term issue, and we're trying. How long have we been working on this, Mr. Fox?
No, I'm sorry, and
I
I
understand.
don't mean to make light of this, okay?
I
But
get it.
your comment, what you just said, I'm sorry, the reason I'm laughing at it is because you said when you let people speak, then they probably won't come back, okay? And I'm looking at a clock right here that you've been speaking for almost 8 minutes, okay? So
Maybe he's telling you we're not coming back.
I'm not going to respond to that.
And
I am not going to respond to that.
I do appreciate making light of it, I really do, because it does open
Well,
up transparency in the dialogue.
I'm not laughing at you.
I know, I'm not taking it that, trust me, I've had far worse people, far better people say worse things to me, so not a problem.
But there's nothing that any member on this board wants more than to come together and start taking care of our fire department.
Do you know why I've been coming back over and over and over? Any idea? Do you guys remember?
I'm not going to be able to give you much more time.
And
Or I'm going to have to
I
let
ask
it.
because it has been a long time.
Yeah.
My first meeting I came to, what did I address? Do you recall?
Yes, the meeting nights.
And it was because your policy wasn't being followed. Your policy had things in it that were disastrous. And you know what? I haven't seen it fixed yet.
Well,
But now, tonight you're trying, you're passing some things, you are addressing some of them.
We're
But it's-
addressing every facet of that. We are rewriting that book.
And
by the way,
I'm glad
That,
that was
that's that
February
policy
of
book that you were,
2020 was my first meeting. So when if you wonder why I keep coming back, February of 2020, tonight, I will say, was the most productive meeting I've seen. Okay? And I would, and I know, you don't have a time limit because you don't have a public comment policy, but for this gentleman's benefit, I do want to make one point. State law with the state fire marshal, there is a fire truck, fire station ambulance revolving loan program, and they're currently not taking applications. Do you know why? They don't have any money. Now, I'm not saying the money you're going to send to them will make it to where they're going to take applications, but they're not taking applications right now because all of those departments out there that got the loans interest-free, until they all pay it back, that's not a funded budget account with the state of Illinois. That is in law, and that's what the money goes for. That hasn't changed in the last
Mr. Allen,
10 years.
Mr. Allen, as much as I hate to do this, sir, I'm really going to have to cut you off at this point and offer anybody else.
And that, therein lies the issue, and I'm glad you're going to have a policy, and I'll close with this. You can't legally do that because you don't have a policy. Thank you, I'm done.
All right, is there, anything else? All right, the next regular meeting is July the 14th, 2012.
no, don't, quit picking on my typing, okay?
Okay. So do I have any motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, motion made by trustee Ritterbush, seconded by McBride. Oh, Marty?
We have a motion on the floor and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
All right,
All opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. We are adjourned.
Can I make one more suggestion?